So it's you need a user ID, a password, and so on. Let me give you a very brief tour of the functions at the top. There are the menu options, and you have some icons that you can use. I will skip the system because it's mostly IT. Just want to show you some of the things here quickly, especially maybe the units of measure. Just so that we can show you that we can actually use any units of measures. You can use imperial or metric, and you have all the conversions. Like at the top are the units that you could be using, centimeters, and down there is how to convert to feet, inches, meter, and millimeters. Okay, and the same thing with, let's say, grams. How do you convert from grams to pounds, kilograms, and so on. So you could be putting a sales order in metric totally and run it through a system. Or you could be putting it in imperial and run it through a system. Okay. However, we do keep internally for the company, we do keep everything in one unit. Okay. And I'll show you this as we go. But what you have set up here is a whole bunch of setup tables, grades, standard sets, and that kind of a master tables that you would use somewhere else. We have a business partner management. This is where you define your customers and vendors. A product catalog where you define the products you can sell and buy. And I just want to show one screen here for now, which is the shape. We support many shapes. Things like T, blank, channel, circle, coil, flat, hexagon, pipe, plate, round corner, square, round tube, and so on. Okay. Sheets, beams, angles. And for each one of those, you define the dimensions that you would be using. Okay. So coils, let's say you could be using thickness, width, and ID. For a round bar, you would be using diameter and length. So each shape has its own set of dimensions. And then these are used to calculate theoretical weight, through a formula. Okay. And this is how we distinguish between different type of products in terms of theoretical weight calculation. And we'll demonstrate a bit of this today. Sales, we have contracts, which we call master orders, regular sales orders. You can define pricing tables, so when you put a sales order in, the price could come in automatically based on whatever criteria you put in. Invoicing, that's sales invoicing. Production, this is where all the processing is done. Setup of processes, work centers. So you create your work orders, production orders, you schedule, you record production, and so on. So we will get to some of those also in detail. We have a fabrication module where you take several items and put them together and create one item, as opposed to taking the coil and cut it into multiple pieces. Warehousing is where you have your buy request, purchasing, receiving, inventory control, third-party storage, and vendor invoicing. Product invoice, rate invoice, duties, and so on. The costing module. This here is really just a setup where you specify your costing rate, and then it's used throughout the system, mostly during processing. There's a shipping module. You can set up carrier, freight rates. There's two types of shipments that you have in the system. There's shipping to a customer, to an outside entity, and you could also have transfers between divisions or between you and outside processors and so on. Claims, supplier claim, customer claim. There's some utilities, some EDI stuff, posting to an external accounting package. So we generate a whole bunch of transactions. And then in your case, you have Oracle, which makes life a lot easier. and some basic reports. So I'm going to start the sales order screen. And what you have here is the header of the sales order. So it's the structure is the other header, and you have line items. And you can have as many line items as you want on one sales order. So you could have sales orders for square bars, round bars, foils. So let me start by putting one in, and I will take you through some of those fields. So what you have at the top is the customer. If you know who the customer is, you can type it in. And when you do that, it brings in a lot of information from the customer profile. Like the inside draft, the outside draft, there is a QA, the industry, the market the customer is in, and so on, the address, the name. If you, and then the financial information, the payment terms. If you don't know who the customer is, you can double click and it gives you a list of all the customers you've defined. And then you can pick one. In general, everywhere you have a word in italic, it means there is a list of values. So right now I put in the customer, it brought in the bill to, so you have a sold to, a bill to, and a ship to. They can all be the same or all different, depending on your customer structure. You could be selling to one person, shipping to another place, and billing somebody else. So for now, there isn't really much at the top except sales order number, the customer PO number, billing address. This is just a summary of the total for that sales order. Shipping, your ship to, your ship from, ship territories, FOB, carrier, the freight, is it extra, pick up, collect, prepay, which is included really. Let's leave it as extra for now. The ship from, which warehouse you're shipping from, and the how are you shipping, okay, by truck, by barge, by rail, by vessel. All these, by the way, are master tables that define here. So you define the list of what your table values are. And then your freight rate, okay, down here, and the date. So you could have required on, say, June 12 or by June 12, okay, and you can add to this. Have on and buy. This is when the customer really wants it. But this is when you will be really shipping. So you could be shipping on the same day or a few days earlier, depending on the lead time. And there is a do not ship before, so the customer doesn't want the material say too early. Before I get to the line items, just something that you will see on almost all our screens, something called external documents. You can attach documents to any object in STEELMAN. You could attach Word documents, drawings. Let's have a customer sending you a drawing of the part, and attach it. You can attach pictures, Excel, and so on. And then retrieve them. They get stored in the database. Okay. You also have a note mechanism on many screens where you can specify a note, either discussion for the customers regarding this, or something you want to send, let's say, to the processing department. Okay, so you would put your note here and then send it to somebody in processing, position, splitter, or just to land operator, whatever. Nothing special you want to tell them. I'm not going to go through all these today. I'm just going to try to get through the important stuff. Then you have a line item. And as I said, you could have many line items per sales order. And this is your line item screen. So let me put the product in to show you first. Let's say I'm doing a 4140 round. You see that you get here of course, the dimensions to be entered, diameter and length. If I had picked a coil, you get something different. So depending on the shape you get, you select, you will get different dimensions to enter. And this is based on the on what I've shown you earlier on the shape screen. And the reason, and then this is what is used, as I said before, to calculate theoretical weight. So now, I'm going to do a round bar. And I'm going to do my demo actually in imperials for this one anyway. So let's say I want 1 inch and I want 3.28 feet, which is approximately 1 meter. And the reason I did that is to show you some of the calculations. If you look at the billing method, so the billing method, you could be billing the customer by feet, by theoretical nominal weight, theoretical min weight, linear distance, so you could be billing by feet or by meter. And you can be billing by square footage and by heaviest weight, meaning when you produce the material, if the actual weight of the tag is heavier than the theoretical min weight, when you take the actual weight of the tag. But if the theoretical min weight is higher than the actual weight of the tag, you use the theoretical min weight. Okay, so these are the 5 or 6 billing options that you can use. And let me go through some of them. If you do a weight, let's try to do weight for a second. And let's say I put 1 piece here. So let's start with a piece. Let's say I put 1 piece here. Let's say calculate the weight. It calculates the weight of 1 piece based on these dimensions, okay, and the steel density. And the steel density in STEELMAN is linked to the grade. If you go look at the grade, oh, by the way, what I did here, and this is also in many of our screens, you can hit a search icon, and then you type what you want to search for, and then query, and it comes back with whatever it finds. And you can, with each grade, you can assign a steel density. So for this one, the one I'm using now, it's 0.2836 pounds per cubic inch. But you also have something like 4140A. I'm not saying this is a good way to do things, where your steel density is 7.85 grams per cubic centimeter. So, which is basically the same as the 0.2836 pounds per cubic inch. Well, this one is the 8 is a bit higher. So this is what it does to calculate this. Okay? Now, if you go by weight, then you really need to enter the weight, and it calculates the pieces for you. It's kind of a reverse, depending on which one you're doing. So we're going to leave it as this for now. So we're going to order 100 pieces, okay, which is about 877 pounds. The theoretical min and the theoretical non. So what I did is I took the product, it's a bar round, disposition came in, but you can also be selling, if you're not selling prime, you can be selling secondary and so on. You can put an end use if you want to. You can put the PO that corresponds to this particular line. You have your dimensions, your standard and your grade, your weight, your pieces. You have a package min weight and max weight if you want. You can have that too. And you have a piece weight, minimum and maximum, which you can use. PIW is only used for coin. So let me manually put a price in this one. This is the base price of $50 per 100 weight. But you can have all kinds of other additions that you can put in. I mean, you could have extras, surcharge of some sort, outside processing or processing charges if you wanted to add to the base price. Something extra for cutting, let's say, and so on. And you can, like I said before, you can have tables that you set up in here, with criteria. So when you hit the get price, it pulls out information from the sales order and comes up with a price that you should be charging the customer. And I have an example of this for my next sales order. What else do you have here? You have some shipping information. By default, it all comes from the header, but you can change it. So in general, you could have a header with 10 line items, each line item shipping to a different place. It's basically, this is the price in the company currency, this is the price in the customer currency. And that's why we have a currency here. And if I just jump to the header for a second, you will see that you have an exchange rate. Properties, I mean, you can have attributes, like the customer wants a certain finish to the product, the customer wants it painted blue, the customer wants a mill edge or a cut edge on coil. I mean, these are properties that you can add here. Okay? So you could have, whether it's alloy-based, you want it blasted, you want it coated. Okay? So your properties are things you define yourself based on, what you do and what customers could be asking for. So just adjust the finish. Weight, all dimensions are properties. Oil type, paint, and so on. Standards is not very useful. The chemistry is when you put in a grade, if a grade has a chemistry, then the chemistry would come here. Okay. And then the customer may say, you know what, I want the carbon slightly modified. So on the left-hand side, you would put what carbon the customer wants. And that overrides the standard chemistry of the grade. Okay. You can have tests, hardness tests, Sharpie tests, camber, flatness, whatever tests you define in the system, then you can use them. Okay? Rockwell. The show as is what you want to show on the bill of lading to the customer. I don't know if you use this or not, but by default, whatever you have here in terms of weight and sizes will show on the bill of lading. But if you wanted to show something different, then this is free text, and you can type in whatever you want. So whatever you type in the product here will show on the bill of lading instead of this one. Control item is an important feature. The control item is a group of products, grades, standards, and dimensions. And it's grouped by department. So when you look at this string here, the one that I highlighted, you can see that you have a product, 4140 hot rolled ground. Standard is EUR, the grade is 4140, the size is 1 by 39.36. Not that it was converted to inches, because inches is the internal unit for length. And the department is 03, and the company is OS. So that's a group of products with the same characteristics. And then you have something called an MCI, which identifies the source material that should be used to make this one. Okay. And the way you use this, I will show you later, is then you can make you can look at the screen that shows you all kind of analysis on, do I need to buy material? Am I short on something? Do I have too much material in a certain area? What do I have on order? And so on. So it helps you make purchasing decisions. Okay? And I will show you this in a few minutes. Now, so that screen basically shows you, has all the specifications, terms of size, weight, pieces, package restrictions, etc., and the price. And then you have the work instruction screen. Now, I'm doing the demo here, so I'm doing everything. Like I'm putting the sales order in, I will be putting the work instructions, I will be putting the work order, I will put production recording, etc. But in reality, different people are doing this. So the flow you see me go through now is not necessarily the flow that you will be using. I'm just showing you the functionality. So what we're going to do here is we will cut and then ship. So this is the work instruction screen. These are the processes I want to do, cut and ship. It automatically came up with the work center where to do this, because there's a place where you can actually set up your preferred work center based on certain criteria. I mean, you don't have to use it. I do it for demos because it's much easier. My finger isn't working, but there's a default preferred work center here, so when I highlight it, and you can create a table. And let me show you actually one of those because it's fairly kind of interesting. This one is very simple. So if my department is 01, use this work center. If my department is 03, use this work center. But you could actually have up to 10 columns here. This is totally under your control. You create them on the fly. Okay, so you can say, okay, I want 2 columns because the second one I want the grade. If the grade is this, I want to go to another work center. Or if the end use is this, I need to use a special work center because it has a better quality. But these are tables you define yourself. And then the department, the location where the work center is, which is the warehouse. Then yield losses that came up from also some setup in the production area. I don't put any throughput rate. And here are the input products that you should be using to do the operation. And then here you have a grade again and so on. In addition to a work-to-work instruction, which belongs to the sales order, there's something called a work order. Out of every set of work instructions, we create a work order, which is then used by the people at the plant to do the actual work. It's initially based on the work instruction and gets created automatically. Okay, so you can see that this is very similar, your processes, your work center, your location, okay, the grade and so on, and it gives you the dimensions that you should be using as a minimum. And what happens later, and then we will go through this, is that let's say you had 2 work orders to cut round bar. Okay. And 1 round bar, and you have 2 small sales orders, let's say. And each sales order will not fully consume the full bar. So you can actually combine now the 2 work orders together into a production order to share a bar to satisfy their needs. So now I'm basically done putting a sales order in. I put my specs and my instructions. So I put now the customer PO number, and I'm going to try to approve the sales order. So I approved it. I'm trying to confirm it. And now it's not telling me that the credit status should be approved. Okay. So basically, for this customer, a credit check is required. Credit person who would go and say, okay, what do I have to check today? Okay, so they have a screen, okay, that shows them the sales order that I put in. Customer owes $493. Okay. That person can actually drill down into the sales order or into a credit review screen to look at the financial background of a customer. And this is really what that credit person will see: the accounts receivable balance due, any invoices not posted, total pending sales order, total pending credit note, the total exposure of a customer, the credit limit. And the reason it went into a credit check required now is the total exposure is way over the credit limit, which is 0 actually. And you can see the aged AR balance, we don't have so many years, accounts receivable, all the invoices that are for that customer, any pending sales order, and so on. Okay. So the credit person can approve it from here, can approve it from here, okay, whichever, or reject it by, let's say, holding the shipment. And then this will then turn into a proof. Okay. And now I can confirm the sales order. If you look at the customer profile, okay, I believe that this credit limit is in this currency, which is the currency of the customer. So the credit limit is capped in the customer's currency. So if you have a customer in Canadian dollars, the customer in euro, and the customer in US, each one of those would have a credit limit in his own currency. So one would be in US, one in Canadian, one in euro. We always compare, let me go back to that sales order. We always compare the bill to amount, which is in the customer currency, to the credit limit, which is in the customer currency. So it's not like the credit limit is in one currency for all customers. So back to my sales order for bars. 100 pieces, weight of 877. And there are many ways to skin the cat in SEALMAN. And I will show you one way to apply stock now, and I will show you another way to apply stock later. But there are several ways, and both are important. You can go to a sales order. You can right-click in many places, and then you get a little menu. And you can go to stock application, let's say. And you get this screen where the top shows you the sales order. And the bottom will show you any stock that it finds. So if I hit auto search, it comes back with a list of materials. Okay. And let's look at this one, for instance. So when you have a 4140 hot rolled round, 1 inch by 39.36 inches, and it's ready to ship. So it actually knows, because of the dimensions and the characteristics of that material, that it's not, it doesn't need to be processed. It's in the same, in the shape you want it, okay? And there are 30 pieces of that. Okay? So I could pick this one. Okay? This one has 9 pieces. This one is available to ship, but it's not really available because you can see it's in red. It's been applied to another order. But you can steal it. You can take it away if you want to. Maybe the order you just put in now has a much higher priority than this one. It gives you the order number here. So you may want to steal it. So keep going down. You can see now that it's found material that is applied to the, what is Randy?
Randy.
It was?
Yeah.
What? So that material can be cut. It's because the length is much more than what we need. We need 39.36, and the length here is 320.64. Okay, so it's found out what needs to be cut, There's 10 pieces, so there's one piece on this one, there's 10 pieces on that one, and 10 pieces here, and so on. And you can keep, scrolling. So this is the auto search. It comes back with all the material it thinks you can use, and it also tells you at what step in the process you should be using it, based on the dimensions and so on. Before I pick anything from here, I want to show you another, because maybe you went in here and you hit auto search and you found nothing. So maybe you don't have material that matches exactly what you need, but you could be using something that's slightly thicker or slightly thinner maybe, slightly smaller diameter. You can hit manual search, and that comes up with this screen here where you can actually specify now all kind of information. What diameter you really want, what length you really want, the grade, its position, prime, secondary, etc. Any material with some particular text that you want to search for, any material with certain properties, certain wear and locations. You don't want to look at everywhere, or you do want to look everywhere. So that screen allows you to put all kinds of criteria, even chemistry. You can put chemistry and search for material that has that chemistry. We will do one of those in my second scenario. And so that's the manual search, where you put in your own criteria. While the auto search uses the information that's on the work order for that order to figure out if there is material out there. Now, because I do want to do processing, I'm not going to pick the shift. I'm going to take some cut to length, so I'm going to take this one. So this particular tag has 10 pieces in it. And because I need 3.28 feet, which is 39 point something inches, and I have 360 inches, it figured out that, okay, you can get out 90 pieces out of this bundle. So just by taking this one, I can get 90. Now I still need 10. So what I'm going to do is take, now this one here has only one piece in it. So it's a bundle of one piece. Select it, and it will give me 9 pieces. So now I'm down to 99. Okay. But I still need one piece to fulfill my order. So if I take this one, if I take the whole thing, I'm going to get another 9 pieces. That will give me a total of 108. Now, depending on your business again and your customer, you may be able to sell 108 instead of 100. So you would cut the whole thing. But if your customer wants exactly 100 and you don't want to create small bars for stock, you can actually say, well, I only want to make one piece. But in this particular case, you kind of need to figure out how much weight you need. So you can reserve by weight. So I put 8.9 pounds, which will give me an 8.8 piece, what that I need. And so you would just cut a little piece of that bar and return the rest to stock. So we were applying materials. So we applied enough now to make 100 pieces. So I've applied a bundle of 10 pieces. Guys, hey, guys. I applied a bundle of 10 pieces, one piece, and then I took a little bit of weight from another bar so that I can make only one little piece that I need. So just click on this, create a production order. The production order is actually what goes to the guy in front of the machine. Okay? And then and it's the instructions to him on what to do. Okay? A production order may combine many sales orders on it. So if you're sharing a bar for 3 sales orders, then you would have a 3 sales orders down here and instructions on what you need for each one of them. Okay. We have something called a processing plan, the cutting plan, okay, where you have your needs at the top. I mean, here we only have 1 for now. My second example, you'll have 2. And the tag that I want to cut. So this is the first one, which has 10 bundles, a bundle of 10 pieces. And I can either say I want to cut this whole thing and make a bundle of 90 pieces, or I can say I want to make 3 bundles of 30 pieces, or whatever you need. Right? I'm going to make it, just to make it a bit more interesting, create a bundle of 30 pieces. Each one of those for a total of I'm just typing in and then I will explain what I'm doing. Okay, so what I'm saying here is that I want to make 3 bundles, okay, each of 30 pieces, okay, for a total of 90. Okay, the system calculates all the theoretical weights and so on automatically. So that's for this one. And what this is telling me is I still have left 12.97 pounds, okay, but I didn't use, and I still have 241.92 inches in length that I didn't use. And we're going to record these as scrap when we record production. My second one, which one is this one? No, this is the one. Okay, is the one that I have 1 piece. And I will make 9 pieces out of it. And then my last one is the one I had. I only wanted 1 piece out of it. Okay, 1 piece. So I'm still left with 71,043 pounds. Now I can return this to stock or I can cut it. Okay. And in this particular case, I'm just going to return it to stock. Okay, you can have a cutting plan also calculate what needs to be done and then create the plan. The cutting plan tells the operator what needs to be done. You take this bundle of 10 pieces and you create 3 bundles of 30 pieces. You take this bundle, this 1 piece, and you get a bundle of 9 pieces, and then you take this and you create a bundle of 1 piece, and this is just a backup that you return to stock. Okay, so right now I have my cutting plan. That's validated, and it tells you if there's anything wrong. I mean, this is okay for now. And then somebody now will go and record production. So the guy will come and hit start production and get a list of all the production orders that needs to be processed, okay, with a scheduled date and so on, and the orders and the customers, etc., etc. So this is the one with it, so we'll pick it. It comes down here as a start time. You can go and look at the cutting plan and see what it looks like if you want. These are your raw material that you will be processing. You have 2 choices here. In some of our customers, they just hit the start button and then the tag goes to the top. In other places, they use scanners. So they scan the tag and it gets started, basically moves to the top. So I don't know if you're using handheld or planning on using that. The first one when I start. And I get a message that tells me that the raw material does not have an actual weight. Okay. You can set it up so that you don't get that message. But this is really for, like, let's say if you don't have a scale at time of receiving, or you don't have a scale when you do certain processing. Let's say you cut, you don't have a scale. We won't let you start and process the tag until you put its actual weight in. And this is really for costing purposes. Okay. But again, this is something you can bypass completely if you don't want it. So you click yes, and then basically you, well, I'm going to say that the weight is still 802. Start it. Then I have my cutting plan. Now you have, again, I mean, it's such a flexible industry. You have a choice of manually entering what you've done, or click on the whip button and it inserts what your cutting plan is saying. So 30 pieces, this is the length, this is my weight. Okay. If you have a scale, you can change the weight here. Okay, type something else. Okay, 65 or whatever. Okay. If not, you leave it the way it is. You can create the second bundle and create the third bundle. Okay. So it could be as simple as that, but in reality it's never that simple because some pieces are, you know, bad, you scrap them, etc. And the weight isn't always as planned, and the length isn't always as planned. So you have the ability to go and change these numbers to fit reality. Okay. Once you're done and you're happy that everything is fine, you can post everything. But I'm not going to do this yet. So I've created 3 bundles of 30 pieces each for a total weight of 789.03. I have 12.97 pounds of unrecorded material, which we're going to assume is scrap. And you can record the scrap. So there's a scrap transaction screen. And you can, you know, you define scrap code. And whether you're recording by piece, weight, or length, because the scrap can be recorded as a piece, as weight, or in footage, you know, 2 meters, 3 feet, whatever. In this particular case, I'm going to record everything as being scrap. Yep. That's the wrong thing. Close the window. And I'm going to post the whole thing. Now, before I do the next one, I'll show you some of the, so first it does the automatic allocation. So remember we have a ship step, so for a sales order. So that material now moves to the same sales order for the ship step. And I will show you this in a second. So I'll show you costing. Okay. For each one of those widths, it calculated the material cost, the processing cost, and the scrap loss. And the processing cost, I've done this based on the rates that I put in for each one of those work centers. So my cut to length 1, I set it 10 cents a pound. Sorry, 10 cents per CWT in processing. Again, this is sample data, so those numbers don't really mean much. But every time you record, the bottom line is every time you record production, it will calculate the cost of the item that you made. Okay. So the cost of this item is $91.93. If you drill into it, okay, so that's my inventory item. You can actually see the breakdown here. That's your material cost, that's your scrap loss, that's your processing cost, okay, and so on. And then for some reason somebody decided to put taxes here. For a total cost of 91.93. So we keep track of the cost of material. And before I go to the next step, I also want to show you the genealogy, if I can pronounce that word. we have something called a tag history. So if I throw in my master tag here, it tells me what I did. I took this tag and I cut it into 3 bundles of 30 pieces. So we keep full traceability of what is happening to the material. So let's say if a customer comes back and says, hey, there is something wrong with this particular bundle, you know where it came from, okay, what was done to it, etc., etc. If I have taken these bundles now and cut them further, then you also see what happens. It's like a tree, it keeps growing. Now let's do the second master tag. Which one is this?
One is the full one.
I think same thing here about the weight. That's it. I'll do this one quickly. If you wanted to see what was done out of this one only, I need to filter. So this master tag produced 9 pieces. There's 1.12 pounds of scrap. You don't have to record the scrap if you don't want to. It's useful to record it if you're selling it. Okay? Because as you record scrap, it gets added to the scrap inventory. And then if you sell it, then I mean, you have a record. I'll post the whole thing. I'm just going to finish this whole. Okay, so let's finish that last one. Now this one is the one where we are using it partially. So I'm going to create one width, which is filter here, of 1 piece. Okay. And this one is allocated to the sales order. And I'm going to create now the backup, which is here. So at the top, it's not allocated to any order. It says going back to stock. Okay, you can see the check here. And it's flagged as raw. Okay. Again, that's our classification to mean that it's going back as source material for something else, going back to stock. Now, when I post all this, if you look at the web I created, it has a processing cost. But if you look at the one that went back to stock, it doesn't. Okay. Now, this is all done under a setup. Again, because right now we're saying that all processing costs goes to the material produced, and nothing is absorbed by the material that goes back to stock. But again, that's a setup that you guys can do. On screen. Okay. Where you define how much processing, what will absorb processing, and by how much, and so on and so on. Okay. I'm not going to go into this setup now, but it's something you do, and the functionality is here. Like, we might do that. Just to show you the functionality. We have 2 packaging screens, one that requires you to have a work order and one that doesn't. You can package anything. So we will use that one. We were on the 03 ship 1. So the way this works is you put the work center where you're doing packaging. You, again, enter the tag number and scan it. So I put it here.
10-1. Make it there and change.
The other one was 10. Okay, so one is 9 pieces, now one is 1 pieces. I can just create a new web item out of the two. It bundles them together, makes it 10 piece, and I post it. If I go back now to my stock application, I have 30, 30, 30, and 10. I mean, we have functions to bundle tags, we have functions to break a bundle. Okay, and we'll do a break bundle in a few minutes. And so now let's go and do some, let's ship these. Then again, many ways to do this depending on your operation. There is a long way and a short. So let's go shipping the long way. Under shipment, you have something called load planning, load scheduling, and load shipping. Load planning is to be used when you don't even have a tag yet. So you're really planning shipment, creating shipment needs that somebody next will find a carrier for, schedule them, set an appointment with the carrier and so on, and then when the time comes, you go to load shipping, apply the material and ship, or put the material on the load, whichever. Okay? This is the load planning screen. The top of the screen shows everything that requires shipment. You can search for orders, you can search for customers. It's a whole bunch of criteria you can search on. I believe this is our order here. So you can select it and add it to the load. It comes down here. There are certain rules on what you can combine on a truck, because we allow you to combine multiple orders on the truck, even though they're not for the same customer, because you could have stops on the way. Okay? And this is what these stops are. But we don't allow you to combine things like a pickup order with one that has a freight extra, because it doesn't make sense. Customer is picking up, you're not using it also to deliver to another customer. So that's certain restrictions. So the order you pick will come down to the middle here, and you define the stop. Okay. In this case, you only have one. Then it's simple. You plan it, and you finish. So before I finish, what it does, it puts down here what we call a dummy tag. That's why it has no tag number, just a plan. It's a plan for shipping 877 pounds. So that's it. Okay. And you finish, you're done. That's the planner. Okay. Another person comes in and looks at all the loads that require schedule. Okay, so here I have 5, so look at each and every one, schedules it, picks a carrier, so I'm going to do mine. Okay. So the scheduling function requires you to put an appointment time with the carrier, pick the carrier you want to use. So down here you have the list of carriers that will fulfill that route or support the route. Okay. If you're not happy with the one the system picks, you can pick another one. Select it. You can check the freight. Okay. That comes automatically from the carrier's route. Okay. It's time sensitive. In this particular case, the carrier is charging $1.20 per 100 weight. There's a surcharge for fuel. We set it up so that all this comes automatically for the demo anyway. We can add things like a start charge, another fuel charge, a flat charge, whichever. So that's your freight. You're done. And if you're happy with your scheduling, just click on OK and we get it done. Okay, and let's schedule the next one. And when the time comes, the material is produced, okay, and it's now ready to ship, and the truck has arrived. You have to load shipping. And our load is right at the top here. And in this particular case now, you need to start adding the tags that you want to load. So you click Add Tag. It will show you all the tags that are ready to ship for that order. Okay, you select which ones you want to ship on that load. In our case, we will ship all of them. You add them, and they come down here. Then you remove that dummy one. So these are now the tags that I will ship on this load. You start loading. Oh, by the way, there's a whole bunch of dates that you can enter. You can put the vehicle ID, delivery date, the time the truck arrived, the time the finished loading, the sign-out time. If you're scaling the truck on the way in, then you can put the weight here, and so on. Let me close this. The next step is what we call a verify and loading. Okay? You have the ability to scan the tags that you're putting on the load. And as you're scanning, the system can verify that you're actually scanning the correct tag. Okay? If, for instance, you put the wrong tag in your staging area and you scanned it, the system will tell you, hey, you're not supposed to ship this one. So this is what this verify and then loading does. So I can say, it's usually done by scanning, but I'm going to type them in. So these are the 4 tags, 1509-3. Okay, let me type it. 15473. 15409-1 and 15409-2. Okay, so this one I scanned a totally different tag. Okay, somebody put the wrong tag in front of the truck to be loaded. So when I verify now, it tells me, hey, this tag does not exist in the checklist. So it should have been on the load, but you didn't put it in. And this one should not be on the load, but you're trying to put it on the load. So it's just a way of verifying that you're putting the right tags on the truck. So now I have to change this one to 15409-3. Verify, and I was happy. At the end of that verification process, the system has now created a bill of lading and an invoice automatically. You can look at that from here, or you can look at that from, the menu. Usually, the guy shipping is not going to look at the invoice from here, but we'll do it. If you click on that button, you see created an invoice number 3123 and the bill of lading 4277. You can look at the bill of lading from here, verify it. So it has a bill of lading, it has a number, a date, the load ID, the shipment date, it has the sales order at the top here, it also has it down here. You have a sold to, the ship to, where it's shipping from, the freight information, maybe the freight rate, and down here you have a list of all the tags that are being shipped. There's 4 of them, 30 pieces, 30 pieces, 30 and 10. Okay. So that's my bill of lading, my invoice. I mean, it looks very similar. Again, you have a date, the load ID, the shipment ID, the bill to, sold to, the customer PO number, the tags that are being shipped. Okay, now you have two quantities here worth mentioning. This column here is the actual weight of the tag that we store, and this is the billing quantity. So if you were billing by theoretical MES, then this quantity would be different from the actual tag weight. And what we show on the invoice to the customer is just the billing quantity.
Okay.
You have a price at the bottom and shipping details. If you have duties, if you're shipping to North America, North America is shipping to you, I'm sure you have duties here. Duties is another set of functions that are all down through the shipping application, where you define the duties and so on. You have a freight on the invoice. You can have additional charges that are not related to individual tags. whatever you want. You could have rebate, you have the invoice summary. Again, you have the two sets of numbers, the company number and the billing currency and in the company currency with the exchange rate. And so that's the invoice. And that's almost the end of it. And then you ship, and when you ship, the material now is removed from inventory, and then it's gone. Now we don't lose it. We keep a history table of all that material, so that you can always go back to the tag history and figure out, what happened to a piece of material, what was done to it, where it came from, etc. So nothing really disappears. It just moves to a history table. That's basically it. Okay. I mean, for that scenario.